Hello and welcome to this webinar. As you know, at Transparent Choice, we're not big into product pitches on our webinars, and so this is a step even further back for us than normal. Johanna Rothman is a renowned author in the space of project management, portfolio management, program management. If it begins with a P, then Johanna, and it needs managing, then Johanna is the person that can help you do that more pragmatically. Another P in there, that's a word that comes up a lot with Johanna as well. We love Johanna at Transparent Choice, and one of the reasons that we love her is that she, not only is she about pragmatic project management, the implementation of projects, but she's also about pragmatic portfolio management, picking the right projects that add value, and that's all the stuff at Transparent Choice that we care about more than anything else. So, so I'm really excited. We're going to do 3 of these webinars that kind of are a précis of one of Johanna's books. I'm not going to spoil the surprise. I'm going to let her tell you all about it. But we're going to do 3 of these webinars, and I'd encourage you to find the time over the next day or two to go through all 3 of them. You're going to get something from it that will help you pragmatically manage those P's better. So Johanna, over to you.
Thank you so much, Stuart. I'm so happy to be here. This is really exciting and fun. So let me ask, I want all of you who are listening to this to think of any of these that sound familiar. You have emergency projects. Things happen, and you have to then respond right now to your projects in progress and create fixes. You have a ton of emergency fixes. You never appear to have the right people, and let's put those right people in quotes, on your project. You have a bunch of projects in progress, and you can't tell when any of them might finish, and you need them all right now. When you release projects, the teams don't always feel done. You might even be surprised by some of the projects that you have in the organization in flight. You might be using traffic lights, and you cannot really tell the status of any of the projects in progress. And even worse, you need exactly the same people again and again and again to finish anything. So if this sounds familiar, you need to start managing the project portfolio. So let me talk a little bit about a possible cause. One of the problems is that for years and years and years, we have treated software, especially, and any kind of knowledge work, it does not have to be software, although my background is in software, as a way to, if we could just divide up the people and utilize people as resources, we could get the best possible efficiency. This is called resource efficiency. And if you think about it, the work assignment comes in and the first specialist works on it, and then that person does their part, they hand it off to the next person, that specialist does their part, they hand it off to the next person. However many people you need, you finally get finished work. Compare that to flow efficiency. The work assignment arrives and the team works on it together. Now, this might sound like agile to you. It does not have to be agile. As long as the cross-functional team works on this together, then you get the finished output. I actually saw this for the very first time back in the 90s when we were doing a substantial house remodel. We had a builder who was all set to we had 3 bathrooms that had to be remodeled. I know we were being very ambitious, but we were totally changing where the washer and dryer was in the 2 bathrooms upstairs. And we had 2 girls. I mean, we still have 2 girls, but we had 2 girls living at home. I know if you have ever had daughters or ever lived with a woman, you know you need the maximum number of bathrooms available at all times. So the builder was all set to say, let's demolish all the bathrooms except for the one in the basement in my office, and then we'll work on them in serial. And I said, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to finish 1 bathroom, and then you're going to finish another bathroom. So we always have a bathroom on the upper floors where our bedrooms are, and then you can figure out how you'll do the washer and dryer. And maybe you do the washer and dryer first, but we will always have a bathroom where the bedrooms are. He said, that's going to take longer. I said, It's not. I didn't even know the words resource efficiency and flow efficiency back at that time. So he said to me, I said, if it takes you longer, I will pay you more. And you don't even have to refund any money to me when it takes less time. So he rolled his eyes and he said, okay, I'm putting us on the clock. And I said, excellent. So we did one bathroom, right? So the guys were in there taking out the old tub, doing the painting, doing the floor stuff. I don't even know what it all was. Putting in the new tile and the new everything. And sure enough, it took less time. And I did not get money back, but I was very happy that I always had one bathroom on the floor where we were sleeping. So it does not have to be software, it can be anything. Flow efficiency is what works really well to finish work, because you need all those other people to finish the work. So when I think about the project portfolio and all of the problems I mentioned at the beginning, we have several possible problems. There are too many simultaneous projects. There's too much interrupting work, right? You get to start one project, all of a sudden you get interrupted by something else. And you cannot, no manager can see the effects of multitasking. The people on the projects live with multitasking, but nobody can see the effects of it. And teams are not working together to move the project to done. So that's why we have a project portfolio. The project portfolio implements your organization strategy. When you decide what the most important strategic initiative is, and then you decide we have these projects that we will fund to implement this strategic initiative, now you're implementing your strategy. So the project portfolio is all about knowing when the work starts and ends, and you don't have to have perfect predictability to know this, but you definitely know which one is number one, and then you can decide when to commit to or kill or transform projects. So let me show you a couple of pictures about what the project portfolio looks like. This is from a company that will remain nameless from several years ago, back when I was actually inside the organization. So it's many years ago. They had, we had projects 1 and 2 in January. They wanted to kick off project 3 in February, and then kick off project 4 in March, when we were going to hopefully finish projects 1 and 2. So there's an interesting problem with February. February has the fewest number of days in any month. So there's a maximum of 20 working days in February, right? Not 28 or 26 or 30, just a maximum of 20. And here in the Boston area, we also have a federal holiday called President's Day. That's one of the Mondays, the third Monday in February, I should say. Aside from that, we have school vacation week. In Boston, some parts of the other Northeast, but it's not everywhere in the U.S. But for us here, where I was working, we had a week of vacation. So we have the shortest month. We have a week of vacation where all the parents with kids are saying,
"What and in the Boston, you got to schedule 1 or 2 snow days up there as well."
Right. I mean, start another project. Give me a break. So I said to them, this is a hopeful list. This is a wish list. This is not going to happen. Here is what I think we can do. So I actually said, here are the projects that we can do in January, February, and March. And then I added this big black line and said unstaffed work. And notice that there's a project there in February and several projects in March, April, and May, because we did not know for sure that those projects were going to end in February or March. So the big black line, right? So my claim to fame, I have a big black unstaffed line. But for us, that was really helpful in saying, here's what I know we can do, and here's the stuff that I am sure we cannot do. Or at least I won't know if we can do until after we look at how at least January plays out. So That's good for the big picture. Now, this is the lower level view. And you can see that this is by weeks here and by people down the side. So you can see that different people are working on different features, and there's still unstaffed work on the bottom. And what's nice about having the low level view is that you can say, if I know what the low level view is, I can go from there up to the upper level view, because these are all the people I have on this particular project, or maybe several projects. What does that mean for the projects in the project portfolio? So looking at the upper level view and the low level view can be very helpful depending on who you are and what you need to know.
The other thing in here that we find is really helpful is when you layer in that strategic information, because even doing this, you're going to have resource clashes from time to time. And very often when we get involved in companies, they have no way of resolving those clashes. They have no, at the project level, at the implementation level, they have no visibility that project A is actually more valuable, more strategic, more important than project B. And so you get these sort of fairly arbitrary decisions on resource allocation based on who's got more influence or whatever. And so when you bring together these kind of views with that strategic information about the priorities of the different projects, you can actually make those resource level decisions far more effectively and efficiently.
Oh yeah, it changes the conversation, doesn't it?
Absolutely does. No, it completely changes it. And it also focuses the team there on what the business goal actually is that they're trying to achieve. If you clearly state this project is important because of, right, it's going to help us achieve this, then the people in the project, when they're making design decisions or whatever it may be, they're making those decisions with the knowledge that of what the business goal and the business drivers are. And again, that transforms the way that they're able to work in those groups effectively with the same understanding of where they're trying to get to. And that, again, just massively increases the productivity and the quality, the effectiveness of the work that gets done.
Yeah, that throughput goes up, right? All of a sudden, instead of everything feeling like it's stuck in the mud, now you actually have significant throughput. It's such a wonderful thing.
Very exciting. I love this stuff.
Well, it is. It is. So, one of the problems, especially in the Agile community, is that there's a lot of confusion, shall I say, about the project portfolio and product roadmaps. So the project portfolio implements the organization strategy, right? That entire organization view of everything that the organization needs to be done. A product roadmap implements the product's strategy throughout the product's lifecycle. So a product will last hopefully a long time, and especially in software where we're always able to add more features. Well, we're not always able to add more features, but if we've done not a terrible job, we can keep adding more features and keep extending the life of this particular product. So the product strategy says, we want to release here, we want to release here, we want to release here. But the project portfolio says, for this given release of this product, that implements this part of the strategy for the organization. And then this given release of this other product implements that part of the organization strategy. So the products serve the organization. And when a product release is more valuable than other work, that's when the organization decides to fund a project for that particular product. And I find that when I think about the project portfolio as differentiating from the product roadmaps, it really helps me say, is this for the organization strategy, or is this for a given product strategy? So let me talk a little bit about the project portfolio flow. You get a bunch of work, right? There's work all over the organization. And I'll talk a little bit later about how to create a rank order of the work. And then there's this big three-way decision. Do you commit to a project? Do you kill a project? Or do you transform it? When you commit to a project, you can actually commit to a cross-functional team. And excuse me, that allows the team to finish the work. Now, you might have several cross-functional teams because you have a program. So if you commit to a program or a project, it doesn't matter. You have to totally fund that project. You commit, you have those people 100% allocated onto that one project or program. Now, sometimes you have to kill a project. And you'll notice it says kill or parking lot. I work with a lot of very nice people, and Stuart, I bet you do too, where this notion of killing a project is foreign. They don't want to say the word kill. They're just all up in arms. But they can say cancel. They can say put it on the parking lot and then let's not look at it for a while. Um, I happen to like kill, but I'm a binary person. Commit or kill, right? None of this in between stuff. But a lot of other people really have trouble with this. So that's why there's the parking lot. They can put it on the parking lot and not address it. Now, what I often see in organizations, especially those new to project portfolio management, is that they had 600 projects and they did not realize that 200 of them were one program. Right, or even 50 were one program or anything like that. So they actually have several programs, not just 200 or 500 projects. So sometimes you transform this notion of what is this beast into, oh, these are all related. We should have them as a program. And sometimes you say, you know, we're not going to get the value out of this at this point in time. Maybe we put it on the parking lot. Maybe we transform it somehow and we do an experiment for a month or so, and then we learn from the experiment. So we might transform it in some way and then commit to it. So there's lots of ways to organize, but I have found that this is, for me, certainly the best project portfolio flow. Once a team is done with the project, then you can say, what else do we need to do for that team? And you would evaluate the project portfolio on a regular basis, not once a year. I like to say once a quarter, maybe once every couple months, because teams have to be able to finish their work.
Yep.
So what I find is the project portfolio can really help make people, let's not help make people, but facilitate the people making their decisions, trade-offs, and assignments. So I find that the project portfolio, I like to look at the strategic view, that high-level perspective, and the tactical view. What are people on the teams doing? And if everyone on one team is working on the same project, that's even better. If you have people on multiple teams, because you're looking at the low-level tactical view, you will see the effects of multitasking. I like to create a rolling wave plan. I have yet to see a project portfolio that's when you say, here's our year's worth of work, that it stays that way for more than a month. I mean, my work doesn't stay that way for more than a month, and I'm a one-person business. And Stuart, I bet the same happens to you.
Tell you a little story about that. So we're hopefully going to be making an announcement sometime soon about some new product coming along, and essentially what it's doing is it's tying together the prioritization and the strategic level stuff that we do, and it's acting as the bridge between there and sort of the implementation. So it's about the scheduling and the resource management. What resources do we have? And so people very often think of that as being about the annual plan, the master plan. But actually it's not. Putting that piece in place is actually about allowing you to create that rolling wave so that in your monthly governance meetings, you can see, holy camole, in 2 weeks' time or in a month's time or in 3 months' time, we're going to have a resource collision like you've never seen, not across the whole organization, but just with that one team or that one person. So let's get ahead of that and either rejig things a little bit, or perhaps we just bring in a contractor for a month and that solves the problem. Or there's a bunch of different ways of solving it. And what we've seen in tests with this is that we've seen doubling of throughput simply by making sure that you have this rolling wave, to use your phrase, that is resourced, that is adequately resourced, and that you're not trying to jam too many things in. And you're eliminating the as you say, the multitasking. You're eliminating the switching. Switching between things has a huge cost. Right? Switching between tasks. I have 8-year-old, soon to be 9-year-old twin boys, and every day they do their what they call tower tables. So they do about 4 or 5 times tables in columns. Their instinct was to go across the rows. So they do 4 calculations, and each calculation they're changing what they're multiplying, right? So, but if you go down the rows, you're doing 5 times this, 5 times that, 5 times that, 5 times that. You're not switching tasks. Just changing the order they did things increased their speed by about 20%. Right? Just getting rid of that switching, just that really simple mental switch that you got to go through from going row to row versus down these longer columns. So it really has an impact at that very, very basic level. So just doing that, we've seen doubling in throughput, project throughput, and completion rates, and on time, on budget rates. And this is it's voodoo, it's witchcraft. That's what it feels like. But actually, it's what you've just been talking about here. It's really pragmatic, simple, common sense. Get focused, get aligned with what you're trying to achieve, and then make sure you've got enough resources to finish the job and focus on finishing it. You get no points for starting a project. You get points when you finish it.
Exactly. That's actually one of my slides in a couple of
slides.
Yeah. And with that, with all of that, you get a ton of transparency into the work, which is all of a sudden senior managers understand, what are these teams doing? Not right. It just totally makes it totally changes the concept of what is a team, what are they working on, what can we measure. So there are a bunch of times when you can easily make decisions. So if you work by feature or work by iteration, however you work, there are project cycles where the team is done for now. Right? It's a good stopping point. You, in the software community, we call this a minimum marketable feature, but you are at a relatively done point. Now, you might be able to do this when you have enough information about the next version of a product. So organizations plan their products and product releases, and if you know enough about that, you can kick off a new project, assuming that the previous project is done. And if you have, every organization has business cycles, which is, when is it time to allocate budget and people to a new project? Now, I really like budgeting teams to a new project, but I can imagine that you might need to change teams every so often, or people get bored and they want to be on a new team. So we have internal cycles that make sense for projects, for products, and for budgeting and planning purposes. And it's often, much more often than once a year. We might only do budgeting once a year, but we can have this rolling wave plan and make it a lot easier. So, as Stuart just said, it does not matter how many projects you start. It matters how many projects you finish and when. So, I'm not saying you should ever do incomplete work or bad work on a project just to finish it. I am saying, assign a team, let them finish it, get it to done, have it meet their release criteria, and then move on to something else. So my last slide is all about me. Sorry, Stuart. And I welcome the chance to link with people on LinkedIn and to subscribe to the my email newsletter, The Pragmatic Manager. And Manage Your Project Portfolio is this book on the lower left. That's the second edition of the book. So, Stuart, what else would you like to say to wrap up?
No, first of all, thank you. It's great. I look forward to doing the next 2. And just to reiterate, if you've got something beginning with a P that needs managing, Johanna's your person. She's got books in there. I don't know if you can read the titles, but she's got books in there on project management, program management, portfolio management, how to hire people, another P, and all of it's very pragmatic and practical. So with more P's than we can deal with, thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for the next one in the series. Thanks, Johanna.
Thank you.